higher education.
Okay, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Founder, Nurul, and participant. We will start our session, and then our session will be streaming on the YouTube at the same times. So, Nurul, times is yours. We can start.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ismail. I think all is ready. So we will start this session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, distinguished keynote speakers, respected guests, and all participants. This academic forum is organized by SEAM, LTMI PBHMI, UNAMIA Piswamena, and IAI Rawa Aupa, South Konawe, and supported by Bina Nusantara University, University Muhammadiyah Baru, STB Al-Muhsin Yogyakarta, STAI Darussalam Kunir, STIT Sunan Giri Bima, STIT Al-Khairiyah Mamuju, STAI DDI Maros, STAI DDI Pangkep, IAI DDI Sidenreng, Rapang, and IUCSRS. We sincerely appreciate the commitment of all organizing and supporting institutions in advancing academic discourse and international collaboration. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's keynote session will be held from 7 to 8 p.m. WIB, Indonesian time, Jakarta time. The theme of this session is Higher Education, Perspective from Europe and Balkan. This topic is highly relevant as higher education institutions face rapid transformation driven by globalization, digitalization, academic mobility, and evolving societal needs. It is a great honor to welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Ander Kutu from Necmettin Erbakan University, Turkey. Professor Kutu is a distinguished academic with extensive experience in higher education, governance, and policy development, and he will share valuable insights from the European and Balkan perspective. Without further ado, I would like to kindly invite Professor Ander Kutu to deliver his keynote address. Professor, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me to share my experience and expertise about higher education systems in Europe, as well as some issues relating to Balkan countries and also Turkey. I would like to share my presentation. Okay. Okay. My topic is the Bologna process, a European reform initiative to higher education systems, mainly in Europe, as well as some Balkan countries and some Central Asian countries. I am a professor of public administration and public policy at Necmettin Erbakan University at Faculty of Political Science, but also I served. I was a member of Bologna national team in my country, which was located at the Turkish Higher Education Council. I started examining a Bologna process starting from 2001, when the Bologna process was adopted by Turkish higher education system. And in the term 2008 and 9, I was the Bologna promoter, Bologna expert at higher education. Council, and it was a project and a program commissioned or organized by European Commission, and we, as a member of the committee, we had the mission and vision to reform Turkish higher education institutions at that time. And ever since then, I was because when you become Bologna promoter, you are a member of a larger team from different 48 countries, and therefore we have communication, we have a network of experts from different countries. From this background, I would like to present what's the Bologna process and its main objectives and means of implementing higher education reform in the member countries. Moving on to the history of the Bologna process, it is as the European as the information about a European higher education area initiative. It was described as it's a unique international collaboration, a European higher education area on higher education, and the result of the political will of, at the moment, 48 countries with different political, cultural, and academic traditions, which step by step during the last 20 years built an area implementing a common set of commitments. This includes structural reforms and shared tools in the member countries. Therefore, it's quite important initiative organized mainly by Europe, but this initiative includes some more member countries from different geographies. When you look at the map, these are all the member countries, including Russia and including Balkan countries, Turkey, and some countries from different parts of the region. This is the time scale. This is the period of the or the dates or the years of the member countries, starting from Albania to United Kingdom, Serbia, Montenegro, Germany, Latvia, Northern Macedonia, Slovenia, Finland, France. These 48 countries, Bosnia, Herzegovina, they started taking part in this initiative. I'm not going to talk about every country, but these are the member countries, which I will come later. Why this initiative took place? What was the reason to start this kind of initiative? Because in European perspective, they wanted to establish easily readable and comparable degrees. Comparable system based on two main cycles, undergraduate and graduate. And this involves systems of credits, increased mobility, European cooperation in quality assurance, as well as European dimension of higher education institutions. Because when they started this initiative in 1999, Japanese universities and Chinese universities and European and American universities, they started advancing in higher education council, in higher education issues. Therefore, Europe wanted not to be standing behind these regions. Therefore, this was the main idea, to establish a kind of common perspectives and common objectives. How? There are some implementation procedures, ministerial conferences, member countries of the European Union as well, but this included some other institutions as well. European Communique and Bologna follow-up group and secretariat. This all started in Sorbonne Declaration, because 4 countries attended: France, Germany, Italy, and United Kingdom. Their main goal was to promote mobility for students, graduates, and teaching staff, and at the same time ensure promotion of qualifications with regard to job market. In 1999, in Bologna Declaration, a common vision of the European higher education area, easily readable comparable degrees with diploma supplement, system based on 2 main cycles, undergraduate and graduate degrees, system of credits, mobility, European cooperation in quality assurance, as well as European dimension in higher education. The attending countries, they included, I'm not going to read all these countries, the names, but mainly member countries of the European Union. Although Poland was not a member at that time, but they had the candidate country status to the European Union. Still, for example, Norway is not a country, is not a member European country, but Malta at that time, Lithuania. But all these countries, they attended Bologna meeting and declared that these are the main objectives of the Bologna Declaration. 2001, there was another major milestones of the Bologna process. Ministerial conference took place in Prague. Expansion of objectives, lifelong learning, involvement of students as active partners in the process, enhance attractiveness and competitiveness of European higher education area, quality assurance, quality qualifications frameworks, and at that time, 3 additional nations, Turkey, Cyprus, and Croatia, became the member countries in the Bologna process. In Ministerial Conference Berlin 2003, there are some more objectives. These objectives included a reaffirmation of higher education is public good and responsibility, agree to secure closer links between higher education and research programs, fundamental role in development of the European higher education area by higher education institutions, and also student organizations, 7 additional members at that time: Albania, Andorra, Bosnia, Vatican State, Holy See, Serbia and Montenegro, and North Macedonia. In the 2005 meeting, Ministerial Conference in Bergen, Norway, a framework comprising 3 cycles, standards and guidelines for quality assurance, action plans to improve recognition of foreign qualifications, importance of higher education in enhancing research, and the importance of research in higher education. It was to establish or to create opportunity for students to implement their studies without social economical obstacles, lift obstacles to mobility in delivery of visa and work permits, and additional members: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine became the member of this Bologna process. In 2007 meeting, Ministerial Conference in London, commitment to compatibility and comparability of higher education systems in member nations while recognizing their diversity. This is important because this initiative does not wish to to set a standard procedures. Instead, it also recognizes diversity because member states they have very diverse, very different backgrounds. I mean, Balkan countries, in Nordic countries, in Mediterranean countries, they all have their own cultural and political settings. And also closer alignment of the European higher education area with the European research area. This included at that time because they wanted to establish a common objectives and principles to facilitate, to promote research in European perspective. And also Montenegro became another member because in the previous meeting, Montenegro was part of Serbia at that time, as we mentioned here in 2003. It was with Serbia, but Montenegro became an independent nation. In 2009 meeting, ministerial conference in Leuven, in Belgium, it was first to be broadcast. I mean, the meeting was broadcasted. It was an important issue or development to promote some kind of transparency. Symbolic location to highlight the role of academic community placed in the achievements of the Bologna goals, highlighted again lifelong learning, widening access to higher education and mobility to include different segments of the society, not only young and newly graduated students, but also lifelong learning included different segments and segments of the society was to be included in the higher education procedures and researches as well. By 2020, at least 20% of graduates in higher education area should have had a study or training period abroad. At least 1/5 of the student population should find an opportunity to get a kind of education or training abroad. And 49 nations at that time. Vienna and Budapest conference 2010 officially launched European higher education area 2010 because previously it was a kind of idea, but officially launched in 2010. Confirms again commitment to the based on partnership between governments, higher education institutions, staff, students, and other stakeholders of the higher education institutions. Kazakhstan, became member 2010, 47th country. Ministerial conference in Bucharest 2012. Bucharest Communique was initiated. Mobility strategy for 2020 and implementation on Bologna process report. 2015 Yerevan conference in Armenia, renewed vision for Bologna process, European higher education area, enhance quality and relevance of learning and teaching, foster employability of graduates throughout their working lives, make systems more inclusive, implementing agreed structural reforms, strengthening the dialogue within and outside of the European higher education area, and draft ECTS user guide. Because ECTS, as I'm going to explain, is a central point, a central principle of this Bologna process. European credit transfer and accumulation system. And Belarus became member 2015. Altogether 48 countries and nations. Ministerial conference in Paris 2018, included or highlighted or reinforced some of the key Bologna commitments, and revised a diploma supplement approved. It was, again, a milestone of the Bologna process. Moving on to the communiques, I mean, the legal requirements of the Bologna process. Meetings, it is an outcome of the meetings of the European ministers in charge of higher education. This was an opportunity to review progress in building higher education area, European higher education area, and set short-term priorities to advance long-term goals. So, I mean, it's a fundamental part of the European Union and European initiatives, these communities. Prague, Berlin, I mean, all these and all the meetings, they issued at least one communique. I mean, for example, in Berlin, for example, quality assurance and recognition of degrees and periods of study. Because previously, even the member countries of the European Union, in many instances, they didn't recognize the diplomas or degrees obtained from other countries. Especially the Germans, they didn't want to recognize the diplomas and degrees obtained from even member countries. Therefore, this is symbolically also important because recognition was initiated in Berlin, in Germany. In London, qualification frameworks, because European qualification frameworks, it highlighted all the competencies and all the requirements, all the outcomes of the higher education to be brought to the public after graduation. I also took part in the formation of Turkish higher education qualification framework in 2008. I was a member of the committee in Higher Education Council. Therefore, it was quite important just to make sure that the students get the right kind of qualifications through their higher education. This includes bachelor degrees, master degrees, as well as doctoral degrees. 2009, lifelong learning and mobility in Paris. 2018, innovation in teaching and learning, digitalization, as you have already mentioned, develop and enhance their interdisciplinary programs. Lisbon Recognition Convention was another important point or dimension of the Bologna process. I mean, all these, countries, at the end, they drafted a Lisbon Recognition Convention signed by 55 countries in Lisbon, 1997, and entered into force February 1st, 1999. The stakeholders or members of the committee was the Council of Europe, UNESCO, member states of UNESCO's European and North American region. Purpose was to facilitate mobility of individuals through recognition of academic credentials, academic degrees, and also guarantees fair recognition procedures for students and graduates. Okay. main difference was between the nations or during the convention was because there was minor differences between qualifications, do not provide sufficient reason for non-recognition, takes into account diversity of higher education systems, because this not this initiative intends to establish a kind of exchange of or recognition of the diplomas or degrees, but doesn't wish to involve or doesn't wish to articulate or speculate national differences, because all the member countries, they have their own histories and they have their own traditions. Therefore, this is important. There are some examples of differences which I'm not going to talk because I should accelerate. I should speed up a little bit. But European Network of Information Centers on Academic Mobility and Recognition, ENIC, provides a network, I should say, which I'm going to come back later to this point. Okay. Elements of qualification. It involves level, workload, quality, profile, and learning outcomes. All these efforts were to feed into the European credit transfer and accumulation system, in short, ECTS system. In the handbook, it was defined as learner-centered system for credit accumulation and transfer based on the principles of transparency of the learning, teaching and assessment procedures. Its objective is to facilitate the planning, delivery, and evaluation of study programs and student mobility by recognizing learning achievement and qualifications and periods of learning. Okay. This involves transfer of credits, which is based on workload and achieved learning outcomes, and facilitates mobility, easiest recognition of study. ECTS credits involves, in one academic year, students, they have to obtain 60 ECTS credits. This is the general number. Of course, in accumulating or these ECTS credits, you have to consider national qualification frameworks and pursue. A workload is important, and every student, they have to work in one academic year between 1,500 and 1,800. So one ECTS, needs between 25 and 30 hours workload of students. This workload includes revising exams, preparing essays, or all kind of presentations, all kind of workloads are considered or taken into account. So one student, they have to work between 1,500 and 1,800 per academic year. So when you multiply 25 or 30 by 60, it makes 1,500 and 1,800. This is the main logic. So awarding credits, learning outcomes are important, not the process, but the outcomes, and formal and non-formal learning are included. Informal, non-formal learnings are also included in ECTS system. This was to transfer credits. because credits awarded in one program institution recognized by another. Key to successful study mobility, because when you send your students abroad in Germany, for example, to Germany, you make sure that your students takes in one semester 30 credits, in 1 year 60 credits. So you don't have to be worried about the workload. You don't have to be worried about learning outcomes in the hosting countries. Yeah, ECTS grading system. These are the grading scales, A, B, C, D. These are all standard issues in all member countries in Bologna process. Native, credit systems, they have to be converted into ECTS system. Because in our country at the moment, we have our native credit system, but it is also in line, it is also in connection with ECTS system. I'm going to show you a little bit later. This is a transcript, for example, from one student. When you look at the, ECTS credits and local credits. So you have to put at least 2 lines, your native credit system, as well as ECTS credits. Yeah, this is the grading, AA, BA, etc. This is the ECTS grade, A, B, C, D, bottom line, and at the top, AA, BA, this is the national system. These are all standard documents in all every member country. Therefore, it facilitates comparability or facilitate recognition of all these degrees. In England, University of Derby, this is the Russia. They also use this system. Yeah, system of degrees. First cycle programs, depends, the credits, whether the education or is 3 years or 4 years. If it is 3 years, you have to obtain 180. It's 4 years, 240. In Kazakhstan, for example, 231 ECTS. Previously, yeah, first cycle. Second cycle program, which I'm going to explain a little bit later. Excuse me, how much time do I have? Do I have some more time? Because I have to...
Go ahead, Hocham. We have 1 hour, so
Okay.
you have presentation, and then we can continue with the Q&A. So the total we have 1 hour.
Okay.
So don't be worried.
Okay,
Yes.
inshallah. In second cycle programs, which are 2 years, 120 ECTS credits, and total first and second cycle programs between 300 and 600, which I am going to give a little bit more details. Third cycle, the doctoral degree. When you say third cycle, it refers to doctoral degree. Second cycle is a master degree. Third cycle, BA degree, bachelor degree. Short cycle, which is 2 years, and it is in vocational schools, vocational high schools. 2 years. So short cycle, first cycle, second cycle. Third cycle is PhD, doctoral degrees. Mainly, it's a kind of estimation that about 5% of student population continues their doctoral studies. Only 5%. And there has been an increase, a significant increase in among doctoral students in previous years in our country, and also this is also evident in United Kingdom, in Germany, in many countries. In workload measurement, ECTS used in most countries. This includes taught courses and doctoral thesis. But you have to make sure that in every academic year, which is a term, the 3-term, if it is 3-term, 20, altogether 60 ECTS credits. If it is semester, 2 semesters, you have to have 30 plus 30, so 60 ECTS credits. There are some integrated programs which combine first and second cycles. In many, for example, European countries, in Germany, if you go to university, which takes 5 years, you complete first cycle BA degree as well as MA degree, master degree, or MSc, master degree. So combined degrees are quite common as well. But in our country, for example, in medicine, dentistry, veterinary sciences, architecture, pharmacy, for example, 5 years include a BA and a bachelor degree and master degree at the same time. When you get a kind of diploma, a kind of certificate, it means that you completed your master degree as well, combined degrees. Programs outside of Bologna structure are usually related to first cycle studies, may require first cycle qualifications for admission. It is usually from 6 months to 1 year. In Ireland, for example, they name it higher diploma, 60 credits. Latvia, 60 to 1 or 2 years, it means. Malta, Bachelor of Accountancy, 96 ECTS. It means 96 times 30, workload. It's based on the workload of the learners, students. 2-year programs, these are not considered. Short cycle, Luxembourg, for example, and Netherlands, associate degree, as you can see, 120 ECTS credits, because it is for 2 years. Intermediate qualification in second cycle programs, Ireland, for example, postgraduate diploma takes 1 year and you get 60 ECTS credits. Second cycle programs that do not lead to third cycle, master programs. In Albania, they name it Master Professional. Croatia, Magister Professional qualifications. In Scotland, Postgraduate Certificate. Only 30 ECTS. Short cycle programs, it's only 2 years, for 2 years. But it's a kind of between vocational training and university education. And Bologna communiques, they recognize short cycle programs because in our country, in Andorra, Luxembourg, Norway, Turkey, Cyprus, Latvia, Ukraine, all these countries, United Kingdom, for example, they have local colleges. They provide short cycle programs. They provide diploma between the students. Short cycle education, vocational education, workload measured in clock hours. Bosnia and Herzegovina and Cyprus, they all provide certificates. Yeah. Okay. Short cycle programs considered part of higher education, and all these countries, altogether 23 countries, they provide short cycle programs after high school, before BA degrees. When you look at the qualification frameworks, what is a qualification framework? Formalized system of credentials at different levels and how those qualifications fit together. Described what learners should know, understand, be able to do at each level in the framework. If it is a third cycle, a second cycle, first cycle, I mean, all the qualifications are described in qualification frameworks. National frameworks, system-specific frameworks. I mean, every country of course, they cannot, all these qualifications have to be in line with European qualifications framework. So every country has the right to form its own qualifications based on their national interests, their education system, and the requirements from different stakeholders of higher education institutions. For example, private sector. For example, civil society, some associations, some kind of syndicates, for example. So these frameworks, they are to describe nation-specific qualifications for every nation. As I have already mentioned, I took part in the formation of Turkish higher education qualifications framework 2008 and 9 in Turkish Higher Education Council, our YÖK. So we of course examined European qualification frameworks, but we had to consider our national interests and our national, for example, education structure and systems and priorities defined by our constitution, defined by our national laws. Therefore, I mean, all these qualifications, they cannot be against European qualification frameworks, but you have the option to adapt to your structures and needs.
Iya, itu takut akan jadi tumor kalau
And
lama.
Self-certification is the final step in development of national qualifications frameworks. It is to make sure that it demonstrates national framework is compatible with qualification framework and European higher education area. So these are in Scotland, for example, qualifications for higher education institutions, doctoral degree, master degree or integrated master degrees, honors degree, graduate diploma, a bachelor degree, diploma of higher education. I mean, all these levels, there are altogether 20 levels. Scottish qualifications, national qualifications, these are the Scottish qualifications. And also, these are apprenticeships and kind of trainings, higher education institutions. All these, they were combined together just to make sure that universities operating in Scotland, they comply with the Scottish Qualifications Authority requirements, central authority, but every country has the right to shape its own structures and qualifications. In Malta, for example, quite simple because Malta is a small country and they don't have to be worried much about the differences in the universities, but quite attractive country because living conditions are quite reasonable. It's a member of European Union. Therefore, many students, even from our country, Turkey, they go to Malta to obtain degrees. Therefore, I mean, these are the degrees. Altogether, in the Bologna process, 8 levels. The first level is preschool education, nursery. Second, primary education. Secondary education, higher education, short cycle, first cycle, second cycle, and fourth cycle. Third cycle is a doctoral degree. Second, as I have already mentioned, master degree. First cycle, BA degree, bachelor degree. Short cycle before a kind of vocational education, and also primary school, secondary school, high school, and nursery. Altogether, I mean, European Union or European Bologna Initiative recognized 8 levels. So this is also a basic definition. In Germany, for example, you can see these levels: vocational and a training preparation. Nursery, primary, secondary, high school, specialist, I mean vocational schools, BA degrees, master degrees, and doctoral degrees. All these, I mean, this was defined by Association of German Chambers of Commerce and Industry, because higher education, you cannot separate higher education from the industry, from the trade, from the private sector, because at the end of the day, they are the employers, they are the boss, they employ all the graduates of high schools and university graduates. European higher education area, it provides a framework of qualifications for European higher education area. So when you look at I'm not going to talk into details, but first cycle qualifications here, second cycle, and third cycle, doctoral degree, all the requirements defined by European higher education area, because as I have already mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, European institutions, they wanted to establish common background and common implementation procedures just to facilitate higher education institutions initially among member states, among European states, but later on these initiatives spread around different Asian countries. Diploma supplement is also important because I mean, when you obtain a diploma supplement after graduation, you are automatically given by your higher education institution. When you get these, I mean, diploma supplements, if you take these diploma supplements, wherever you go, as long as the country is member of Bologna process, your diplomas are recognized. There is no point, there is no question about it. So it's to make sure that all the students are quite I mean, they have confidence that their degrees are recognized wherever they go. So diploma supplements developed in during 90s, but I mean, further implemented 2005. It's provided free of charge. This is the main point, and automatically. Language of the country, and mainly in European languages, usually in English. You have a diploma supplement in Turkish and English you have a kind of diploma. So wherever you go, you just your diploma is recognized. Diploma supplement is provided at all levels, all 4 levels: short cycle, first, second, and third cycle in our country. In the paper, diploma supplement: student name, qualification type and institution, qualification level, course content and results, grades, qualification function, certification of diploma supplement, higher education system details, and other relevant information. For example, this is a diploma supplement. University de Vigo, University of Glasgow, Higher Education Achievement Report, it says diploma supplement. There are some explanations about the higher education system and all the details I mentioned, and also your grades, doctoral grades as well as other grades. So these diploma supplements is a kind of assurance for the students that their diplomas are recognized wherever they go. In many countries, it is digitalized, but in some countries, they require a paper document. So in our country, you can both have, you can have digitalized version as well as a paper document, because individual students, they would like to have a kind of concrete, a kind of paper to take with themselves. This is the benefits, main benefits. Common framework, it provides comparability of students, academic recognition, qualification recognition, improved institution visibility, provides benefits to credential evaluators, admission officers, explanation of qualifications, and country educational system. When a diploma supplement is issued in our country, for example, in Turkey, when you take this diploma DS with you to Germany, it also tells about educational system, how you are selected, how are you selected? To enter university. There are these kind of detailed detailed information, verification of documents in many countries, including Turkey. They provide. You can verify, or the employer verify your diplomas. Of course, when you look at, you enter this website, you have to put some kind of information, and then your diplomas are verified. So you don't have to take the paper or the document or diplomas with you. Especially Bologna follow-up groups are quite important, designed just to make sure that Bologna process is implemented thoroughly and without any kind of hesitation. So Bologna follow-up groups, they at the moment they are the guardians of, they are the assurance of the system, I can say. So these are not so. There are some work plan and work groups of Bologna follow-up group, but I'm not going to go into details. This is a bit detailed. And these BUFOC groups, Bologna follow-up groups, they provide automatic recognition, and they provide European assessment reports about the feature and the achievements of the Bologna process. And digitalization is also important because in the era of knowledge and information, I'm not going to go into these Evet. For example, in the reformation of the education system, mirroring Bologna process, some countries, they also adopted, even they are not a member of the Bologna process, they implemented some of the findings and some of the principles of Bologna process. This includes, for example, Australia. The Australia Department of Education and Training, they provide this certificate on second, third, diploma, advanced degree, associate degrees, bachelor degree, honors degrees, graduate certificates, master degrees, and altogether 10 levels. I mean, in Europe, there are 8 levels, but in Australia, they implemented 10 levels, a kind of adopting the European initiative to their operations. In Kenya, for example, they also copied some of the findings of some of the principles of Bologna process. Philippines, for example, they also implemented, when you look at the levels, 8 levels, level 1 nursery, level 2 primary school, level 3 secondary and high school, level 5 short cycle, level 6 bachelor degree, BA degree, level 7 post-baccalaureate, master degree, and level 8 doctoral degree. Therefore, Philippines also, they have similar. In Jamaica, again, 8 levels. So, I mean, the countries, they have to, even they are not members of Bologna process, they are not active members, they have the vision, they have the wish to follow this, I mean, because it's a successful initiative. It's a successful initiative. If you would like to have relations, if you would like to have, send students to these countries or send, graduates for employment, if they seek to get employment in Germany, France, Italy, on all these member countries, you have to comply with the requirements of the destination country. So Jamaica, again, this is an ECTS transcription academia from Caribbean International University. ECTS, they use ECTS and their national credit system. So what I would like to say is that even this Bologna process has so many opportunities, so many principles, and member nations and non-member nations, at least they should study these initiatives in order to reform their higher education system, because it's, so many nations, they come together to develop a higher education system and structures. Therefore, I should say as a final word that Bologna process, which I am following the developments in the Bologna process for the last 25 years, starting from 2001. And I can say that Bologna process is a dynamic process, organic process, is changing according to the changes in global issues, in higher education, in employment, in education, in industry, in governments. Therefore, it's a successful initiative. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. I'm really sorry if because it takes about 1 hour. Maybe I should have stopped a little bit earlier. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for listening my presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Professor, for delivering your material. Let's move to the next session, question and answering session. Maybe we will open just one question. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen,
Nurul, there is one question from the streaming of YouTube. So, would you like to explain in general, Prof, how the Bologna commitment through the country in European effect of this Bologna commitment? Thank you.
thank you, Mr.
Sorry, I mean, Professor Ismail, did you mean that European Union effect or?
No, I mean how the higher education institution in European area, European continent, affect from the Bologna commitment.
Oh, okay. Because all the requirements, diploma supplement, ECTS credit system, and student-centered education system mainly, workload, involvement of stakeholders, they all have to be planned and implemented by the higher education institution, by a university, because second step of this initiative, for example, in Turkey, we have a Turkish Higher Education Qualification Council. So just to make that quality assurance is the main issue, because you have to make sure that, for example, your students, they obtain the qualifications which you have already defined together with your students, with your member of staff, with all your stakeholders, industry, government institutions. You defined your goals and objectives and the qualifications beforehand, and then just you have to make sure that your students obtain these qualifications. So it's quite so many responsibilities, because in the past, you go to class, you just lecture and then go away and ask questions and ask students to read the books and material, and it's an easy process, quite easy. But you don't know, how many students or which percentage of the students they obtained the qualifications. You didn't know, but at the moment you have to apply, for example, surveys. You have to provide some kind of ways and means for the students and for the industry, for the government institutions to ask questions, to demand some kind of training and some kind of demands from the institution. So you have to be a part of the society. In the past, universities, at least in my country, they discuss something quite big, mega issues, but the public and students, they didn't have any kind of involvement in the discussion. But at the moment, we come together. For example, I invite my students to, for example, to just to find out their views. Or I go to industry, I go to private sector, I go to government institutions which employ my students, just to find out whether they are happy with the students I graduated from the school, from the university. Therefore, there are so many responsibilities, so much work on the higher education institutions, just to make sure that they are a part of the society, a part of the open society. Therefore, of course, we kind of affect the society, higher education employers or higher education institutions, but the society and uh, international pressure is also, I mean, also affects our operation procedures. Therefore, it's, I mean, quite hectic, quite difficult process at the moment. But in the past, as I have already mentioned, you go to class. The best professor is just like actor. You act in the class. You know, talk. You know, you affect. I mean, but the students, when they go out of the class, there is nothing in their minds. Because you don't measure, you don't know how effectful, how important, I mean, your lecture. Just to make sure that at the moment, I mean, uh, ask, and because students' feedback is or feedback from other stakeholders are quite important. So many, I mean, it's quite a difficult process at the moment, because even when you are asking questions in the exam, it has to be related to the qualifications which you have already defined at the beginning. So you have to measure, you have to set goals, and then try to achieve. So it's not easy, but this is the life. This is where the higher education system is going in Europe, in many countries.
Nice. Gitu. Dan lihat kondisinya gitu. Diingat tuh kalau Australia gitu.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Yeah, I will hand over again to moderator.
Okay. Thank you, Prof, for answering the question and delivering the material. Let's go to the last session is closing, and also thank you for all the question and activate participation once again. On behalf of the committee and all participants, I would like to express our deepest appreciation to Professor Andekutu for sharing his valuable perspective with us today. We hope this session contributes meaningfully to our understanding of higher education development about regional and global levels. So thank you very much, Prof, and also all. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Good afternoon over there in Konya, and then we will see you soon. Bye,
Okay.
and we can go to the next session, session 10. Thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Assalam.
Thank you.